Today in the news, and trust you had a fantastic weekend. Of course, we're starting off with the front pages of the papers this morning. Starting off with Vanguard. Vanguard is leading with PDP crisis. Atiku at wheat end as IU Wike dig in. The rider says as IU may resist stepping down PDP source. Atiku having sleepless nights over Wike's demands. Interest around ex-VP not disposed to request. Chairman not appointed but elected. That's coming from an ally. Why Wike should support Obishan Atiku Tinubu. That's coming from Rivers Non-Indigents. On page 8, 2023 presidency, not by allocation to any zone. That's coming from NNPP. On page 12, houses submerged, properties destroyed as flood wreaks havoc in Makurdi. See inside, you have inflation. Nigerians caught spending on utility bills as price hikes persist. The writer says numbers of transactions declined 24%. Price paid rises 31%. Consumers living on tight budgets. That's coming from some analysts. On page 4, I have national agenda for country, not special candidate for 2023. That's coming from OBASANJO. On page 8, trouble looms in NICOM over purchase of 4 billion naira on completed office building. On page 11, 2023, don't listen to presidential candidates through proxies. Peter Obi tells Nigerians, if you are really fighting for students, suspend strike. Parents, non-stacks, ASU. Stories above, presidential interview, Rabiu Kwankwaso, we can make Nigeria better by blocking wastage. On the big interview, we have Funsho Doherty, who insists on good governance to change the fortunes of Lagos. Lastly, on the front page of the Vanguard newspaper, 10 Nigerian states have bigger GDPs than some African countries. That's coming from Osibajo. Alright, let's take a look at the Nation newspaper. The Nation is leading with Obasanjo. I have no preferred candidate but national agenda. The writer says ex-president visits Babangida Abdulsalami Gwain. ASU to review 6 months old strike. Why government can't ban union. That's by Falano. You can see that story on page 4. Stories above. Federal government to block illegal diversions on Lagos-Ibadan Expressway. You can see that on page 27. On page 4, Wike gets Rivers PDP backing on call for IU's removal. Lagos NURTW leader killed in court clash. Ondo to teachers. Don't enroll your kids in private schools. How Nigeria can benefit from stable oil markets. And lastly, on the front page of the Nation newspaper, Lagos Airport cleaner in NDLEA's net for leading drug syndicate. All right, let's take a look at the Guardian newspaper. The Guardian is leading with Obasanjo meet Abdulsalami IBB to unveil 2023 agenda soon. The writer says, Obasanjo, I have national agenda, not special candidates. Article to receive Shekarau, other defectors into PDP in Kano today. Judge insists PDP must correct lopsidedness against South before election. NEF scribe berates a political class for meeting abroad over nation's woes. NNPP will shock Nigerians, says Kwankwaso. Stories above on page 3. NDDC, don't set Niger Delta on fire. South elders warn Malami. South Middle Belt Group ask federal government to shelve 2023 census. ASU accuses education minister of aggression. Institute of Directors task Southeast governors on insecurity economy. Stories below. Nigeria top list of study visa to US, UK. A motorist commuters decry beggars' insensitivity in handling Lagos Ibadan Expressway. All right, let's take a look at the Punch newspaper. The Punch is leading with PDP, NWC divided over IU, chairman's fate uncertain. The writer says, I have no problem being loyal to Wike Makinde. That's coming from Deputy National Chairman Arapaja. Party in dilemma over successor if IU resigns. Spokesman says NWC not divided. Article others receive Shekarau back to PDP today. Obasanjo touts a national agenda. Libyan factional governments clash. 32 killed, 159 injured. On page 9, 30,000 died of air pollution in Lagos. That's coming from LASEPA. That's a report from LASEPA. Accident kills 3. Commuters decry Lagos Ibadan gridlock. You can see that on page 4 and 5. Unpaid salaries Plateau, Benue, Ondo workers orders grown. Contributory pension asset hits 14.36 trillion naira. ASU strike enters 196 day. Union decides today. Federal government rakes in 1.1 trillion naira from indirect taxes. You can see that on page 27. And lastly, on the front page of the Punch newspaper, Lassa fever cases now 894. Ondo Edo leads. You can see that story on page 15. And that's all we can take on the front pages of the paper. Join us after the break. We'll be right back. All right, welcome back. If you're just joining, still today in the news on Vanguard Live, I am Precious Chukudi. Joining me to talk about some of the stories on the front pages of the papers this morning is Mr. Ali Mohammed, CEO of Magnet Communications, former editor of Daily Times and Concord newspaper. Good morning, sir. It's good to have you join me this morning.
Good morning, Precious. How are you?
Very well, thank you. All right, let's go straight into the papers. And for weeks, again, we've had the PDP crisis back and forth. It's still Wike, Atiku camp, still deciding what exactly is going to happen. And, the Wike's demand is there, and Dr. Ayu stand on not to step down from office. What are your thoughts, basically, on what's been going on so far?
Thank you very much. I think at this stage, the party should take a decision on how to resolve this crisis. If you ask me, I will say that Wike is claiming to be bigger than the party, and there is no way a single individual can be bigger than the party. He must respect the wishes and the interests of the party. It is very important, except he wants to break PDP into factions. If you have met in Nigeria, you met in 2 places outside Nigeria, and yet you cannot arrive at a decision, then it means we are going to have a crisis in our hands in PDP. I am not a member of the PDP. I'm just looking at a situation where this crisis will persist till next year. We have the elections very close by, and they've not even agreed on how to start their campaign and how to move forward from there. It is unfortunate, but I think they should all come together and arrive at a compromise and then move forward as one party. If this persists till the next few months, I can't see PDP facing the forthcoming national election as one party.
According to the party's constitution, it says that once the national chairman resigns, he must be succeeded by a new candidate from the same geopolitical zone. Does it not mean that the calls for Ayu is just, is just on the surface? Because if he resigns, it means that there must be somebody from his own political zone that must come out.
But what are the reasons that they are giving for Ayu? Ayu is not an appointed officer. He was elected at a national convention. If you want to remove him, you must come up with his sins. You must come up with genuine reasons why he must resign. No single individual appointed Ayu as the chairman of the PDP. He was elected at a national convention. If you must remove him, you must go back to that convention or pass a vote of no confidence on him before you can remove him. You can't force a man to resign because he is against the interest of a particular group. Whatever the interest of that group may be, it should be subjugated for the general interest of the party. And the party is supreme over any faction. If you don't like the face of Ayu, you must come out with reasons for him to resign. Yes, Wike must have contributed immensely to the survival of PDP till today. But it is not the reason why he must be so uncompromising to a level that the same party he helped to survive will now be crushed when the elections are near. I think it will be good for him to come to a compromise and meet with the leaders of the party and let them agree on the way forward. If they continue with these meetings in Nigeria, in London, and all other parts of the world, and cannot agree to move forward as one, then there is going to be crisis in that party soon.
There are some people that are saying that if Atiku eventually decides to go with Wike's demand, he will be looked as a leader that is unreliable. What do you think about that?
No, a leader to me must be able to compromise some of his ideas and demands. That is the essence of being a leader. But when you stick so hard to your demands and you are not ready to shift, then there will be a problem. There is no reason why both sides should not compromise what they want the party to do. Atiku is more at the losing end if at the end of the day they are unable to come to an agreement, because he's the presidential candidate of the party. And I expect that everybody in the party, no matter who that person is, must come together at this stage and close ranks and ensure that they move into the elections as one party. But the way they are going, both sides insisting on a set of demands, and they don't want to compromise on those demands, I don't think it will strengthen that party. I don't think it is preparing the party very well enough for the forthcoming election. I don't think it is in the interest of the party. The party is supreme, far supreme above any individual or group. So they should sit down and come to some form of compromise and move the party forward. That's what I think they should be doing by now, not insisting that this must be done. Ayu must resign. No single person, like I said earlier, appointed Ayu. He was elected at a convention. The party's constitutions are clear on this. So if you are insisting that no, you don't have confidence in Ayu, put it down in black and white and let the National Executive Council of the party decide what to do, whether to convene a convention where Ayu will be removed after there is a successful vote against him. Not that you just sit down and say he should resign. There is a process for resignation.
Do you think that the issue with the calls for Ayu to resign might be as a result of what happened at the primaries, where after the primaries rather, when there were speculations that they were making choices between Okowa and Wike, and most of the party members had already gone for Wike, only to find out that Okowa was now like the next person picked. Do you think that might be the reason why we're having this?
Of course, that is the reason, because you see, the mistake the Atiku team made was to have constituted a committee and give that committee the sole power to appoint a vice presidential candidate for the party. At the time that committee picked somebody, the Atiku camp went against that person and picked Okowa. That is the cause of this problem, because everybody was looking at Wike, if only to compensate him for his contributions to the party. And tactically, if Atiku had known that he was not going to follow the wishes and recommendations of that committee that was set up, he should have, in a way, controlled the sittings and discussions of the party by getting his own people into that committee, and not sitting down and giving them total power to appoint the vice president. And when they did, you now said, no, I am picking somebody else. That is the cause of all these problems. It's a mistake that was made by the Atiku team. But I hope they will be able to rectify it before we get to the elections proper.
There's some people that also say that if Wike is being consoled with the national man title, a national chairman's title, this will also resolve all the dramas that is going on in the party.
No, you first of all have to ask if Wike want to be the national chairman. Okay. You don't just insist. If he wants to be the national chairman, he is eminently qualified. But you see, like I said, there are processes for the appointment of a national chairman. A national chairman must emerge at a duly convened convention of the party. Not that you just sit down and say, so after due consultation, you have appointed Wike national chairman. You have to campaign and win people to your side and contest an election at a duly organized convention to emerge the national chairman. There are procedures for all these things. You see, if you break all these procedures, it might lead to litigations, court cases, and at the end of the day, this crisis will linger on till when you are close to the election. That if care is not taken.
All right, let's move ahead and talk about this one now. The former president OBASANJO has said that his romance with some presidential candidates was not an indication that he has a preferred candidate for the 2023 election. What do you think about what he said?
Well, President OBASANJO is entitled to his opinion. He's an elder statesman. He has gone to meet with fellow elder statesmen, and as usual, he will not disclose exactly what was discussed at the meetings that he had with the two former heads of state. But we have to limit ourselves to what he has said. That is for the interests of the nation. Let us believe what he has said. But in deciding the interest of the nation, they must be thorough and be careful with the decisions that they are going to take, which is going to affect the entire people of Nigeria. If you look at the situation of things in this country now, it is not too good. There is inflation, there is hunger in the land. People are worried, people are desperate to make money, people are dying every day. Somebody hanged himself because he had a lot of debts on his head. There is despair, there's hunger everywhere. So we have to be careful in moving forward, because you see, a hungry man is an angry man anytime, any day. No matter the palliative you try to give to him, you should allow the people to have some elements of good life. If we continue the way we are going, I don't know what will happen even before the election. On the road, you see people exhibiting road rage. Everywhere. You will be driving, somebody will be in your front, you will try to hoot for that person to give way, and it turns around to start abusing you. It is that bad. So there is so much hunger in the land. It is very important to address this issue. And like I keep telling our people, we must be careful of the choice that we are going to make. We either decide that we want to make this country better or leave it as it is.
All right, so let's move ahead and talk about inflation, like you mentioned before. And according to a report that I have in front of me, says that utility bill payment dropped by 24% in the 7 months to July, even as the value of payment rise by 31%. That is that there are lesser people who are paying for things and at a higher rate. What do you think about this?
The truth of the matter is that you can only spend what you have. You can't spend what you don't have. And so people would rather ensure that whatever it is they want to do, there is food in their homes. So before you start talking about utility bills and all that, nobody will want to pay any utility bill because food must come first. Look at NEPA bill. They have increased the rate of electricity consumption more than 5 times in 1 year. And a lot of people hardly use their air conditioners, though they just limit themselves to using light and fan. So the consumption rate will definitely go down. and the payment of bills will also go down. And that is why you see government saying now that they want to tax the usage of phones, place some taxes on the usage of 5%. Phones, 5% data tax and all that nonsense. In Lagos State, they want to start charging you for parking in front of your house. They want to start charging you for drilling borehole in your house when government has failed in its major assignment of providing water for the people. All sorts of taxations are coming up here and there. Land use charges, a 4-bedroom flat, somebody is asked to pay $500,000. You are inviting a crisis if care is not taken. The people will get fed up one day and they will rise against the government. So we have to be careful how we impose taxes. If I have my house and I bought my land, there is space in front of my gate, you are saying you are going to tax me. It will lead to a crisis if it is not well managed. You have high rate of armed robbery in town. You can hardly move at night without seeing people who want to rob your car. So we really have to be careful and let us provide for the people, everybody. If you think in those days we used to have first class, second class, third class citizens. No, everybody is on the third class now, except those who have access to government funds. So that is it. We must try as much as possible to redeem the people from hunger and starvation. Yeah. We are depending on them for the elections coming up. And some people will tell you that hunger and starvation are the tools of the politicians to ensure that you vote for them. It is somebody that is strong enough and able to stand in the rain or in the sun during elections that will vote. In anger, some people may just shun voting because there is starvation in the land. Unfortunately, our people cannot reach the ones that they have voted for who are in government today. You can't reach them. You can't get to them except they want to see you. That is the irony.
Now, according to this one is the data from Nigerian Bureau of Statistics, NBS. They say the inflation rate in July represents the highest in 5 years.
Of course it
September
is.
2005.
Bread is now 1,200. Bread. If you buy something for 100 naira today, the next day you go there, you are going to buy it for 300 or 400.
Yeah, the inflation rate is just...
It's terrible everywhere. Look at the flight ticket, a return ticket from Lagos to Abuja, Lagos to Uyo is now about 200,000. 200,000. I mean, how do you relate with that? That is a flight that used to cost less than 100,000 in the recent past. So the inflation rate is so high, and it is killing the industries. It is killing the airlines themselves. You know how much aviation fuel costs now. You know how much diesel costs now. If you are into production, you will know that the cost of diesel is not friendly. 180 naira per liter. So how do you want to survive if you have a factory that relies solely on generators? I went to an office the other day. They bought 20 petrol generators. That's a company that has been using diesel, but they cannot afford the cost of this. So they bought 20 petrol generators and connected them to different parts of their offices. Yes, it is a lot cheaper, but it is not the best way, because if there is a crisis like fire, it will consume the entire building. But they had to do it because they must survive. Go to an hotel now. An hotel that you used to pay 25,000 for per night has gone to 50,000 because of diesel. So many factories are closing down because of the high cost of diesel. So many companies are retrenching massively. Even the multinationals, they are retrenching massively, and we are seated here talking about election next year.
All right, let's take Mr. and Mrs. before we go. And Mrs. is speaking this morning. She says, so what what you eat in your nonsense club is better than my cooking. Or what is the excuse for not eating the food I prepared for you? If you don't eat it, we're sleeping separately tonight. And Mr. says that is hate speech, dear.
Of course, it is hate speech. Why will she sleep separately from the husband? Hate speech of the highest order.
The biggest one.
I support him.
All right, thank you so much, Mr. Ali Mohammed. Thank you for coming and sharing your talk with us. He's the CEO of Magnet Communication, also former editor of Daily Times and Concord newspapers. Remember that you can equally like, share, and subscribe on all our social media platforms showing on your screen. You can follow us on our social media pages at Vanguard on YouTube, on Instagram, on Twitter, TikTok. WhatsApp number is also showing on your screen. Also, to find out up-to-date stories, you can go to our website, www.vanguardnj.com, to find out more. I am Precious Chukudi. Thank you for watching.